KTN News. Get the whole story.
Welcome back to the second hour of Checkpoint right here on KTN News with me, George Maringa. And as always, your Sunday panelists on matters politics, that is Ambrose Weda and Gabriel Muthuma. They have joined me right here in studio to discuss a wide range of issues of what has transpired in this past week. Of course, we've seen that Azimio la Umoja coming up on Friday, and of course, so much that has happened in the past week. And gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Checkpoint tonight.
George, thanks for having us.
Great.
Thank you.
Now, the Nzu River tragedy is one that has, of course, been a top story and a story that we continue to follow up right here on KTN News and in the country. And the Kitui Deputy Governor, Dr. Wadenzao, says the county government will install a center for emergency response near River Nzu. I mean, Gabriel, from where you sit, is this another political gimmick? I mean, this river has claimed lives of many in the past.
George, as you've correctly put it, it's indeed a tragedy. And, you know, the more we think about it, the more we talk about it. I mean, since yesterday, you know, people have been wondering, could we have done it earlier? What needed to be done? Did we do what needed to be done? And I can tell you categorically, we did not do what needed to be done. And I saw, you know, people, you know, cheering on the driver, you know, to go across the bridge just because a few cars had, you know, had gone on. But you see, that still, we have a perennial problem of just leaving things until accidents, you know, take place. And I think we need to start reversing that mentality, that we wait until something happens. When we lose lives, that's when we go, you know, and start talking about what you're talking about, building a bridge. Now, I mean, what does it take? Human lives, so that, you know, that bulb can go on when we say, oh, wow, this is the time we need. I mean, Kitui has about 10 billion shillings every financial year. I believe, given the fact that this is something that occurs every year, I would have thought somebody by now would have thought, wait a minute, we need to prevent an accident from taking place. But alas, George, look where we are today. It's indeed a tragedy, a tragedy.
Whether we have moved from the drought and now we're having floods are killing people. From where you sit, of course, while these are tragedies, as a country, what does this speak on matters leadership?
Thank you so much, George. And we pray for the families who have lost loved ones. May Jehovah touch their souls and console them and give them peace that surpasses all understanding. Whenever there's tragedy, we always rush to pontificate and talk very nicely. I think what happened was carelessness. Not about leadership, not about county, not about the president, not about whatever. In Kitui, they have incidences of flash floods. If you watch National Geographical or Animal Planet, all this, these educative channels, not Kawangware housewives, as people love watching. During seasons like this, you will find that when you talk about water, 1 minute you're able to cross, another minute it is coming. And if you happen to be at the center when it is coming, you'll be swept. So when you see what happened, it is not only carelessness of the driver, but also of the onlookers, people who know, the locals who know. The locals who would say, look, be careful, be careful. We tend to love to show how brave we are on small useless matters. So if we were judging, there's work to be done. The bridge should be made and all this. But you cannot stop people from dying where there is carelessness.
And not only that, George, I mean, just to add what my good friend has said, you see, the element of being proactive, you know, does not end with just building the bridge. We need constantly to be looking around the possibilities of what can happen. What can happen? And you know, this is something that must be in front of all of us. You know, it's you remember back in the day, why did we paint our school buses, all of them yellow? There was a reason as to why. Why did we say school buses that are transporting children cannot travel at night? There was a reason as to that. And you see, my only problem is that things happen and then we move. So that element of being retrogressive, I think we need, as Kenyans, we need to start thinking, what can we imagine, what may happen? You know, and I believe if we are able to be looking, you know, into these matters, I think we are going to at least lessen what my good friend is saying, carelessness. We need people who are, you know, who have the foresight of understanding, you know, this tragedy happened once, and sometimes it's good. We can learn from it. Then what do? We still know. I mean, given the fact that the heavy rains have started, or we are seeing rains all across, you've seen our school children, you know, going to bridges that are made out of wood, and you're somewhere looking, almost cringing. So are we waiting again for another accident to happen? I think we need to be people who have an element of foresight.
Mm-hmm. And being element of foresight, whether you have to say something?
Yes, I want to say, before you were born in the 90s, George, if you were living Nairobi to Kisumu, where I come from, you measure life between Nairobi and Kisumu. Even if you're buying a car, you say it will use how much of fuel from here to Kisumu. You'd meet several accidents, several. In fact, if you see 2 or 3, you say the road was good. But now you can go 10 times before you see an accident. And not much was done. Matiang'i came in, and he came in with a bit of madness. Some madness and roughness. And people just told the line. Things just started working. Just said, you do this, you're out. You do this, you're in. You do this, you're out. And now you can drive smooth. Part of our major problem is carelessness. Why do I say so? Look at the number of those motorcycle riders, border borders, the ones who are involved in an accident. Compare them to private cars, especially top of the range cars. The V8s, the Prados, the big Mercedes Benzes. You hardly see them in accident. The owners, even if you are, when they see you, when they see a lorry, when they see a bus, they're always very careful because they know what they have invested. But you see the matatus, you see they are knocked left, right, and center. Why? Carelessness. So somehow, when something happens, we must be able to say, no, where did we go wrong? What do we need to do? We need our roads to done well, our bridges, but it is the human error that is bringing us down, and we need to deal with it.
And as we end up on this topic, you know, Muthuma, we are in the festive month. And heading into, of course, the festivities. Of course, Jamhuri is coming up. It's going to be a weekend. Then Christmas will follow on later. Perhaps your appeal to Kenyans as well. I
mean, George, another great observation. And you know, this is even though it is quite an amazing month of December, celebratory month, you know, it's also a month where, you know, all these tragedies happen. Just the other day, I think on Friday, we had a pretty serious accident that happened on Valley Road. And even one of our men in uniform, I think, lost their lives. And so apart from, you know, just keeping to what Weda has said about, you know, carelessness, people just need to be careful. And I believe, George, wholeheartedly, that much of what we are seeing on our roads today can be avoided, has been and can be avoided. For instance, the footbridges. I mean, do you really need the government to come and tell you, George, hey boss, wacha kuvuka barabara namna hii? There's a footbridge right above you. I mean, what does it need? Somebody to really shake the living daylights out of you? No, just be considerate even to your motorists. You know, just use the footbridge. You know, and it's saving lives. So I think more on civic education really need to go in mainly during this festivity period, and for the drivers really who are carrying our family members and all our friends. Keep to the speed, you know, keep to the given speed. And you know, I was talking to, there was a time I was trying to discuss something with my daughter, and I was telling her, you know, there's a reason as to why all these laws are there. Yeah. Just because you see the speedometer, because sometimes she likes the speed, she'll tell me, "Hey, Daddy, I mean, this guy is overtaking you." So I was like, there's a reason as to why, even if the car is going to 180, that it's not designed for that. Yeah. There is what you call, and I was trying to teach her in Kiswahili, there's what you call kanuni za barabara. And that is why it's a law. That's why you are actually stopped and pulled over because of, you know, reckless driving or speed driving. And like you say, George, I think we just need to keep talking to our people using all the channels that are available, the media, the social media, what have you, for people in this month of December to actually be very careful.
Now, whether you're a disciplinarian, and there is this whole issue of school unrest and arson, and we did see the Kakamega court uphold the surcharge of 9,500 shillings to parents of Miranda High School. And we've seen again it's gone up in flames just a few hours ago. Wow. What do you make of all this?
Thank you. Personally, I believe, number one, the surcharge. Parents should not see it as a fine. They should just see it that the cross has fallen on you. You didn't fight the British colonialists, did you?
No.
It did not fall on you, isn't it? It fell on people like Dedan Kimathi. It fell on people like Jomo Kenyatta. It was their responsibility to fight. And some of them were killed and their families wiped out. But for what cause? That you and me, Muduma here, can now talk and say, "Akona tumekataa bwana." So when a tragedy strikes in school, first we need to find the culprits and deal with them. But the reconstruction is for us all of us. Those children, when they're in school, they are our children collectively. So if in the unlikely event we can't find the culprits, we can't punish everybody, but we have to do reconstruction. Even if there was no dormitory, and now you want to build it. And me, I've participated in founding schools, building. My own school, Mama Tolembo Secondary School, I did a hall. Now I found they burnt the hall a long time ago. I almost cried. I said, what's wrong with this? But I'm looking forward to reconstruction. So let parents not see when they are told they banned the dormitory. You saw the dormitory was banned. We need that dormitory. It is your time as a parent to pay. You pay. But if we get the culprits, surely they'll not be able to pay, build a dome 10, 20 million. We can just punish them. We take them to police. Some of them we take to jail. There will be a few students. Because banning this place can only require one person. It doesn't require many. I know that now it is very difficult being a principal. Being a principal is very difficult. You go to sleep as a principal. You can wake up as a prisoner. You saw that guy in charge of a committee.
Yes.
By the time he was going to sleep after supper, he was being saluted. Yes, sir. Sir. When he woke up, he was being given uniform in Gandhi. So you understand what the teachers are. It is, and the teachers are working 24 hours. And the schools are big. They are dealing with between 17 and 2,500 students. But outside there are rumamongas. Oh, these principals are fighting all the, oh, we need to do this. So we need to sympathize with the teachers.
Yes.
Running some of these big schools is not easy. But there's also one problem. Some of the money is being done to raise funds. I'm not talking about some of these schools like Kakamega, like Miranda. It's not that they've done that. Those are schools, the principals I know like Namachanja of Miranda, are very distinguished gentlemen and hardworking, and they are shown that it can move things. So you will find that some other schools, you ban so that you build. So you will find either it's a conspiracy by the contractors, a conspiracy by the locals, a conspiracy, some will be built by constituency funds. Then we also have very low caliber boards of management. Some are very old people. They have been there years. They don't even know what the students want. They can't even talk to them. I've seen some where the board members speak in broken Kiswahili. That means they don't even understand English. Yet they are supposed to shepherd people to get A's. So there are myriads of problems, but we have to deal with the boards of management. We have to deal with some principals are not competent, but we also must support the competent ones. If I look at a case like Miranda, I think somebody somewhere wants to undermine the principal. I just think, I guess. Oh yes, because being a principal in these schools, you know these schools are very big. Their budgets run into 100 or 120, 130 million. You manage that kind of money. And being a principal is a premier. So what you do, if you can fall one, if you can sabotage one, he goes under, they will do it. And they have done it before.
You know why this whole thing becomes hazy? George, you know, all these students, and on this one, I'm really blaming the culprit. That person who's bringing the petrol, that person who's burning the dormitory or the classroom. And the reason why I'm actually squarely putting the blame to that person, any person joining Form 1, that really is a person who can think. That's somebody who's responsible. Going all the way to Form 2, Form 3, and Form 4, that is somebody who should be held responsible. We have seen in this country students burning their fellow students. Deaths have been reported. What are we waiting for it to happen? Now, you know, it's actually becoming fashionable. I've seen schools like Odaya Boys. I never thought you'd have students who really come from poor families who would go to school and they are told, you know, do this, and you end up burning a dormitory or a classroom. I still fail to understand this. And this is why I keep asking whether. And if you get this, I think you're smarter than everybody in this studio. These children, most of them, not all children, most of them, all of them, come from homes. Why don't they burn their homes?
Now, have you ever have you ever asked yourself how easy this petrol comes in?
From home.
No,
it's actually hard bringing petrol to school. At home, probably you use kerosene to cook. You have a neighbor there. It is easy to bring paraffin and burn your house.
With that in mind, some of the petrol, they come from the cars in the school compound. They are not buying from outside. Please. When we go down into the depth of this thing, it is not as simple as it seems that they are burned this today, then tomorrow they are burning again. No. At the center in some institutions is sabotage and money. In fact, you look at it, these premium schools, you want to head it. What do? You promote internal revolt. And then before, somebody will come and the principal says, where were you? And he had just stepped outside to the kiosk to buy a cigarette. He was sacked. And then somebody comes. So there is a conspiracy.
You see, Wakili, what I don't want us to do, George, is to go soft on a problem that is deep radicalizing. Because think about it, George. When this boy who has learned arson goes through the system, understands, oh, I got out of it unhinged, comes out, what do you expect from such a guy? What do you expect? What do you expect?
And it brings a question of integrity.
And tell you what, it's not that other jurisdictions don't have these challenges. Were we not 5 years ago, 6 years ago, you know, or I think even 10, when were we dealing with Columbine? Where two young boys come with semi-automatic machine guns and they blow everybody in the school. Why are we not dealing with such things, you know, in the US? And guess what? It was becoming fashionable. Anybody who had an issue would pick a gun, but they made laws. They are trying to deal with that problem, and they are going directly to the culprits. That is the very same thing. The people who are responsible, they just need to be held to account. And by the way, I'm not just talking about joking around with them. Be radical in instituting that, that accountability. Let them learn.
So, gentlemen, with the PS saying that those churning out of these schools will need a certificate of good conduct, is that
that's one thing? Actually, I salute the PS. Let your actions follow you all the time, because what you're doing really, George, you are assisting. You're assisting somebody become good at their vice. When they come out, they not hesitate burning Weather's house or Weather's farm.
No.
You ensure, you make them. And here you're dealing with the culprit. I'm not talking you, guessing around who did it or everybody raises. No. If you find somebody who did it, because it's easy. I am told many schools now they have CCTV cameras. If you're able to say, this is the person who did it, you hold them all the way to it. You can decide what you want to do, cards or their certificates. I mean, let them know. Let it be, you remember back in the day when we were, ili iwe funzo kwanko, na wengine, wenye tabia kama hiyo. Let me tell you, that must come to fruition.
George,
yes.
Certificate of good conduct is not an unnecessary burden. It's a big joke.
How so?
It's an unnecessary, costly, time-consuming burden on young people. What do I mean? Any time, the certificate of good conduct is generated on the basis of did they take your fingerprints? You understand? I myself, my fingerprints have been taken so many times. And depending on their records, that is itself a problem. Do you understand? Whether you are innocent or guilty. A report that works, that is necessary, is a report, a testimony from somebody who has been with you, who has taught you, who has been there. That therefore means that we need to be keeping confidential information accurate about our students, our children in schools. That is why we are talking about referees when we are looking for a job. No certificate of good conduct. In fact, we are going to deny good people opportunities if you are looking at those police certificate of good conduct. You need people who can test.
No, he was talking about the living certificate.
No, he said certificate of good conduct.
No, that one too, but he was talking, I mean, students don't get...
No, he didn't talk about living certificate.
No, he was talking about the living certificate.
The PS, so whatever. So we are saying that is critical when you get accurate information. In fact, somebody like me, I have a very good living certificate. Not only clean, I have lived to the ideals. Integrity, self-discipline, hardworking, honest. Also, we must also remember that people change. Good people can become bad. Bad people also change. It is only that some of this information comes so that you know the correct position. There are also people who fall into error because of company. The good book says bad company corrupts good morals. You understand that?
Yes.
So I can't judge you. I can't judge your future by what you did 10 years ago. Unless we are able to say, look, we have not seen any change. He's becoming worse. Otherwise, the testimony of most successful people has been, Obama himself said he tried with Ndom. You know what Ndom is? Right now. You see, let me finish.
My problem with Weda is how he trivializes things. Committee, let me tell you, committee, Kodiaga, Naivasha prison, they are filled with people who we expect them to change. But guess what? They paid the price. They are paying the price. They want to get square with society again. Why? Why are they being punished? If we know or we practice what Weda says, people change and do change. I am not denying people do change, but there's a price to pay for what you do, for some of the sins that you do. They are grand. What will you tell somebody who has burned? What will you
Let me explain. He disrupted me.
Okay, briefly then.
This thing how people change. The King of Kings, the creator of this universe, he himself says, even if your sins are as red as scarlet, you understand? He can make them as white as snow. In other words, you confess and repent. You say, I burnt the school. I am sorry.
Let's then shift.
We can't judge you from there. But otherwise, I agree that certain steps have to be taken.
Right.
But we have to act on knowledge. Some people just want other principles deposed so that they take over.
So, gentlemen, let's shift gears to the State of the Nation address.
Yes.
And I'll begin with you again, Muthuma. I mean, your key highlights from this address by President Uhuru Kenyatta, because it is one that came, you see, he even had to cut short his speech, saying that it was too long. I mean, what are some of the key takeouts that you saw?
Well, the key one was, indeed, the speech was too long. That was really too long. And, at some point, I followed it from the first minute he started talking until the last minute he gave up on the speech. And I honestly don't believe he finished everything. Yeah, I think at some point, it was too big. Really, I've never seen such a thing. So I think in the years to come, people should know. Just keep it. The summary. And I was just telling somebody it's easier. Do the summary and then the full report, give it to the two speakers of the House of the Senate, the National Assembly, and the other one is spread to the media so that me and you and George can be able to read. But there's something that came out first, which I thought, every Kenyan who was paying attention, probably had. Key, obviously, he spoke about the economy, and immediately he said that Kenya has, jumped to 6th position in Africa. Good thing, but let me tell you, I have seen since people have really, last week, people have really dissected that speech, and I've had, people who I really respect economically come out and say, no, that is not what is on the ground. Could there be some things that were missed? Maybe. But, the fact that, we are heading somewhere economically, that just, tells us about the resilience. And then, obviously, he talked about COVID, which, we all know, has really hit a dent, not only to this country, but to so many other countries. But the highlight of it all is where he spoke about, a nation like Kenya not affording another lockdown. I was cringing actually, because, we have the new, you have the new virus, and we shouldn't take it for granted. But the fact that we cannot afford another lockdown goes on to tell us, George, that we must go back to the very basics of how we did to control the spread of COVID. So I think, to me, that was the key highlight, and I really hope we keep it in tandem. Going again to the Christmas and the festivity season, we need to be on the lookout. COVID is still around with us. Yeah.
What did you make of the State of the Nation address?
Yeah, I think the president, please view my contributions on the basis that I support President Uhuru to the hilt.
Yes.
From 2013 to next year, August. Strong to the hilt. That was a report card. And in a report card, when your son or daughter or your staff comes back, you look at the report. And you look at whether the report is true or the report is exaggerated. I've seen people, especially skeptics, people who love to look for negative things. People who love to see, this and that and that and that. People who think that if you give them the key to State House, they will run the country much better. They will come and say this one, this one. Holder. But for me, as a lawyer, as a preacher of the good news, as a parent, as a businessman, as an economist, there are key things that he reported which are true and good for this country. Number one, our immediate problem was COVID. And countries went up or down depending on how their leaders behaved. Right. America itself went down, not because of anything, because of the man at the top, how he handled it. Germany stood still and did well, not because of anything, but how the leader handled it. Yeah. You go to Bolsonaro, how he handled this country, you could see deaths and deaths and deaths and deaths. You go to New Zealand, there was no death. So in Kenya, I think President Uhuru did a good job. There are so many lives which have been saved on the basis of action that he took. He not only consulted widely, he formed an entire whatever committee, and things were done on the basis of consultation. And he also listened to science. So we lost people, but not to the extent of our neighbors. Yeah. See, God gave us a chance to compare. They are our neighbors who denied there's no COVID. And one, we understand rumors, I'm not saying I know, that the ultimate price they paid, the leader himself went. In America, even Trump himself was seen coughing. If he was not president of America at his age, we would have eaten bulls on his funeral. We thank God that he survived. So he did that. Number two, we talk about infrastructure, road network. You see it. You see it, it is there all over the country. You go to Othaya, you find construction is going on. You go to Machakos, you find construction. You go to Kombewa, where I come from, there is Maseno Kombewa Road being done. In the villages, all these things you see, and we have the standard gauge railway. I'm only unhappy that he will be leaving power. He promised me railway from Nairobi to Kisumu, so that I can put my limousine in the railway, then I get it the other side, then I drive it, then I put it. But if we get another good leader, it will be done. That is it. Electricity. It is all over. All over. There were days when if you had electricity in the village,
it was a privilege.
You could marry 10 ladies if you're a man like me, because your home has electricity. Now everybody seems to have. If you ask for it, in fact, they are begging for people to get it. Now that is there. You look at it and you are able to say, we have made some progress. In terms of stability, peace. If the president could cross the Rubicon to go and negotiate and talk with Baba and swallow his pride and say, Baba, let's have a peaceful country. And without amending the constitution, without doing anything, there is relative peace. Why? Because he made it. There are quite a number of things. But as a sitting president who's about to leave, anytime a sitting president is leaving, statistically, if you look at it in America, their popularity rating is usually very low. People want to aende. We also told Kibaki, aende. We told Moi, aende. Yote yawesekana bila Moi. But much later, when we were cutting each other in 2007, they said, you know, we wish Baba Moi was here. He knew how to hold the country together. This Baba Moi. Now, Kibaki is resting. They say, oh, he started infrastructure, good economy, whatever. So I know President Uhuru will also be celebrated, assuming that the election 2022 will be peaceful. Whoever wins will take over power. So his report card, if you ask me, was relatively good, very, very good. It's only that taxes are a bit high, but with the economic interventions, that should be able to manage. The debt burden is also very high, but with a growing economy, well managed, we can be able to pay. Also, the other thing you accredit to him. Now stealing public funds, you must look sideways. Because chances are, if you are named, you can be visited Friday early in the morning.
Friday evening.
In the evening. So there is fear. Fear. People who want to steal, it is no longer present. It is no longer utadu. Today, even if you are minister, I have interacted in government function. You find the PSS are very alert. Anything that is wrong, they
is the accounting officers. Okay.
But before, they would say utadu.
And very quickly, from what you've said about the scorecard, you know, and you're right about the infrastructure and the electricity penetration and what have you. I also think what the president was talking about, the vaccine program. I think this is something that, you know, we need to keep pushing. We need to keep talking about. I mean, on the hospital side of things, mainly in Vitongoji Duni, I give him an A. I mean, what NMS has done and the hospitals that are the dispensaries, Mitani that are coming up, that's a huge thing. But also the vaccine intake. Now it's our responsibility. Most of us, the government cannot push you. Just remember the other day when Mutaikago was saying that they will close, you know, on those who have not been vaccinated, and you see there was an uproar. As far as we will not want the government to take such a position, it's up to us to realize, you know what, it's for our own good. Having said that, I think it is good if we go the way the president is talking and we start manufacturing our local vaccines. And I know there's a lot of discussions that are going on right now with WTO and COVAX, you know, to try and see whether they can release that, what you call intellectual property rights, to countries like Kenya and those who are going to really start focus, and they have the capacity of you know, making that vaccine. So I think that's an amazing program which all of us must actually come in and support.
Another key element is that the president this time also didn't shy away again from talking about the clamor for constitutional change, and this whole brings the whole topic of the BBI question.
Right.
While it is at the Supreme Court, what did you read from what the president was saying, that it has come a time that we need to look at our constitution?
No, yeah, I mean, he has always said this from 2017.
Yeah.
Now, on that one, really nobody should point fingers, because at some point, the same constitution allows us to go back and look at it. I think it was 10 years, you know, the Wakilis would know. 10 years, yes. We are supposed to, you know, go back and relook at our constitution. And by the way, I keep reminding people, the constitution is not cast in stone. Sure. It is an instrument that guides us, that gives us the blueprint of a people. How do we want to be governed at the end of the day? That is our constitution. It's a very live document. So what works for us, we continue praising it. What does not work, we change. So coming to, you know, BBI, I think even if it's whatever happens at the Supreme Court, I think it is time-barred. And on this one, I know the president is hoping any other person coming in may try and see relevance on how, what he was really focusing on is inclusivity. So I do not know what will happen after 2022. Baba, you heard him say that reggae iko half-time. Probably should he take power, and I think he will start probably campaigning again for BBI. Dr. William has said, you know, BBI was a fraud, cannot be entertained anymore. So it depends on which political divide it happens to fall after the president leaves office.
Whether he's smiling, I can see that.
Yes, I think we need to divorce our eyes away from BBI. But constitutional review itself is necessary to address certain things. Number one is to address this winner-take-it-all concept.
Yeah.
It seems it is polarizing this country. We must have a situation where nearly every community feels they're part of government, the way we were prior to the 2010 Constitution. If you included everybody, if you see Muduma there, and you see Weda there, and you see who there, then you think, if you talk about the Luo Nation, say Weda is there. If you talk about the Sabaots, the ones who are talking, you say Kapondi is there, friend. All these things. But this thing of one president, one deputy president, and then cabinet that are appointed from corporations in the international corporation has created a problem. That we need to be looked at. We tinker with it so that we are looking towards national cohesion. Devolution seems to have worked well.
Yes.
But with the limited funds, there is need to increase the percentage so that we say, okay, let's have slightly much more going to the counties. We have the gender question, the 2/3 gender rule. It was put in the Constitution, but they left out the formula. So there is need to add the formula, how you arrive there. Because being democracy, people are going on election, you can't say, okay, don't elect Muduma, elect Njeri. No. There must be a formula where you say, if this formula is followed, we will always get 2/3, 1/3 minimum. That needs salient things that we can deal with, but not the bandwagon BBI. It was like Githeri. There are beans inside.
A cocktail.
Beans was there. Maize was there. Soup was there. But there are also stones. So if you are crushing it, you crush also stones. So I think we need just to leave it. And then craft a new approach that is simple, that deals with 1 or 2 or 3 issues only. Wanjiku is also too busy, he can't read a book. This one, just 1, 2, 3 issues. If necessary, we deal with 1 issue at a time. Let's deal with the 2/3 gender rule together with the money to the counties. We deal with it. Another 5 years, we deal with the executive, like that. So BBI, my president talked about it. I have always had my position. My advice has always been, Your Excellency, this thing, some of it is good, but the moment you include this and that, it becomes worse. So
no, I think
let him go.
The two-third Wakili gender, I think that's something which can be passed right on.
Yeah.
And that's why you have...
No, it can't be passed by legislation. No.
What would be the best approach?
It was documented on the 2010 Constitution. Why has it not gone through Parliament?
Now, when a serious lawyer like Weda tells you that you can't pass it, please listen.
I'm listening.
The 2010 Constitution is founded on democratic principles.
Right.
You understand? It says people will be elected. You can't discriminate on the candidate. They have to go there. You understand that? And then the constituencies have been fixed. They are delimited, they fixed by the Constitution. And everybody is allowed. What it means is that people can go to the poll and they elect all women. And there's nothing you can do about it. True. Now, anytime you want to tell them you are not going to elect all women, you must elect some men also. You have to do that in the Constitution. And anytime you are interfering with the universal suffrage principle, then it requires a referendum. Now you understand why a senior lawyer is telling you can't do this basic legislation.
On the elective, I agree with you.
But
on the elective, yes, you can agree. But I'm saying this, you see, George, at every turn, on every legislature, there's the goodwill. And the goodwill is as important as the legislation itself. So that's why you've had other politicians and other legal scholars who have come and, they are trying to dissect. What are some of these key things in VBA that can be passed through the legislation? Is it easy? Is it going to be easy? And Weda would actually agree with me. Right now, the parliament is very friendly to Honorable Raila and the president, and
so it would be an ideal time.
It would be like the 15% to the 35 or even above of the county,
allocation.
That go to the county. I think goodwill again. You go back to that element of goodwill. If goodwill, prevails, there's so many things that can happen. There's so many things that can happen. Even the understanding of the two-third majority coming to next year. Me and you need to understand it. And we need to just tell people, guys, it's not all about men. And that's why we had Weda last week, really happy, saying that Kenya is ready for...
We are ready. We are ready for Anne Waiguru, deputy president. So Baba may also have to tinker with Peter Ketes to look for somebody, a lady. As a country... Tanzania should not have been ahead of us. Okay, we accuse them because it was through the president passed on. But us, because we are organized and we're a beautiful country, this is the time when the leading presidential candidates, we see they are mainly male. We would actually hide them. Pick a lady.
I agree with you.
Pick a lady. Let's bite the bullet.
Let's be different.
It's about time.
Of course.
Brilliant. So now, even this past week also, I've seen President Uhuru Kenyatta talk about the experience that the country should consider people with experience. Now I can see Weda smiling, and but Muthuma,
let me tell
from where you sit, I mean, what is all this whole discussion about?
You see, I would believe the reason why the president is talking about experience is because we've made blunders in the past. Me and Weda, even with this education we have, this academia, sometimes we've voted on emotions, and we've made blunders. I mean, I keep insisting sometimes, and not even wondering, how did we go out and vote for some of the governors that we saw, we've seen? And, I think if we are going to take the equation of going for the best, understanding who you need to vote for, George, we are going to make a difference. We must start practicing whether this issue of being able, and sometimes it's not really academic, sometimes it's just looking and trying to understand this particular person, what do they believe in, and what is their track record, what have they done in the past, who are they, and are they able to hold themselves into esteem of the office that they are looking for? And that's how you define a good leader. The very fact that you have somebody who can make noise from January to January, and they are not able to show you that this is what I did, it's a red flag. they are not able to sit down and interpret statistical data, is a red flag. They are not able to combine and say, this is what I will do. And they formulate an agenda, a blueprint, and tell you, George, this is my plan. If they don't have such a thing, it's a red flag. So the minute you end up with them, actually you need to question yourself. And this is why I think we need to start talking to the voters, mainly the youth.
But who are not coming out to register as voters?
No, at the end of it, I think with the second one, let's hope. Let's go with the hope that they'll come out and vote, because this is their country. Their future is at stake. You know, whatever happens, we need to keep reminding them. I have this conversation with young people all the time. And I tell them, you know what? This is your country. Treat this thing as your paycheck. Respect it. Understand it. Conserve it. This is your country. And, you know, I like what Obama left, the words that Obama left when he was leaving. He said, treat this nation as one that you borrowed or you've borrowed from your children, not one you took from your forebearers. This is the understanding that we need when we are taking to heart the words of the president when he say go for experience. Because at the end of the day, George, we get it right. And Weda, I want you to hear me on this one. Yes. We get it right on any other sphere of knowledge, but fail when it comes to leadership. George, when you go to hospital and you want to take a serious operation, do you know how many times you will question that doctor? How many times have you done this? Show me. Give me your case study.
How long should it take?
You will get it. You'll get it right. When you're going and
even
paying
house helps at home.
Of course.
We drill them more.
When you're going to a restaurant and you're paying a high premium, you've taken probably away for your girlfriend.
Yeah.
You'll say how you want your steak. I want it well done. But how does it fail when it comes to leadership? You can't hold somebody to account and say, listen, I am going to really do a deep dive on your character. And guess what? Between him and you, I am going to come up with the very best. We need to get it right.
Whether don't young people have something to offer in this country?
A lot. In fact, when you are talking about experience, I'm very jittery. Experience in which areas?
Leadership.
I support experience when it comes to skill, especially professional skill.
Yes.
I know what I can do as a senior lawyer today, which I could not do as a junior lawyer. But when it comes to leadership, then experience becomes a very strange word to me. Why? The biggest jobs in the world are not out of the basis of experience. The biggest job in America is the President of the United States of America. They don't give it to people who have tried it and have been there and left. They give it to Greenhorn. People have just come out. They gave it to Trump. They gave it to Obama. Even Biden, at least Biden has been a vice president. You understand? So if we are going to say that experience, we have seen some very good leaders who have not been. I've not had experience. Some people have had experience, but bad experience of theft and Kabila and so on and so forth. So I think people should be judged by their knowledge and their character. Knowledge and character. Then you give them a chance to acquire experience. Some of the good things that President Uhuru has done, he has not done because he has been a president before. He has just done because he has knowledge. He has gathered people who understands. We have seen somebody like Matiang'i. He is in charge of interior, security. He has never been a policeman or a soldier. You understand this? Yes. So when the president talks about experience, I'm very jittery when it comes to leadership. There are many things I can do, but I can't make myself CS. You understand that? I can't make myself PS, but I can do much better than quite a number I see. So when we are going to rebuild the country, when we are going to continue moving, it should therefore mean that even the young people, you must be given that seat for you to show. And then one day you just find you are here. Already you are here. Isn't it? And you are doing much better than some people who have been in the media for the last 30 years. Say, when KBC was still VOK, or whichever, I was here. But now you say, Twitter requires new tactics. new experiences, new knowledge. So I agree with my president, experience when it comes to professional skill. When it comes to leadership, let us look at character and knowledge. The problem is Wanjiku, Achieng, Mutiso, they elect people based on tribe. They elect people based on party. Hii ni chama yetu, sisi watu ya ODM, watu ya UDA, watu ya Jubilee. So you just vote 6-piece Jubilee, or they vote based on corruption. What has he given to us? Anytime we use those 3 parameters, then let us not complain if we get Gorokos, like the one we got in Nairobi County. The one with his own throne and his own bakora for leadership.
Do you know one thing I believe? This is why I fight with Weda. You see, Weda is trying to divorce character, and skill from experience. It is very hard for you to acquire experience without skill. No, right? No, wait a minute. Okay. And you see, sometimes you look at where you're. That's why you heard him talking about calling Obama a greenhorn. Obama was not a greenhorn. If you look at his, if you look at what he put across in matters when he was a community mobilizer, when he was a Senate, I mean, some of the bills that man brought into the House, and not only that, today, no other president in the history of the United States built a campaign like Obama did. You think he built it with skill and efficiency? It's through experience as a community mobilizer. So what I'm telling Weda, it is always safe, George. And even when a time comes and you are in that realm where you have to make that decision, take the safe bet all the time. All the time. Safety wins. You know why? And how it will win is because you've gone through the stair, coming to get 2 individuals, 3 at most. But in our democracy, really 2 is where things change. But when you have these 2 people, either way you make a choice, you'll be okay, you'll be safe. And this is why I keep reminding people. You remember when John McCain and Senator Obama were running against one another? Guess what? Depending on how it went, America would have been safe. You're looking at McCain, who has a deep history, not only in military, but in government. Experience, super experience. So if it went either way, whether it's Obama or McCain, it would have been safe. But you imagine, you have Obama on one end, and you have a crazy goon, like he's saying, on one other end. And guess what? We all go for the goon. That is where I believe the president was talking about experience. And by the way, whether we have a duty, George, we have a duty, not only here in the media, but we have a duty of trying to tell our young voters that experience, skill, and efficiency, they do matter.
So as you bring this conversation to the home stretch, you want to add something, Weda?
I just want to say, young people, what you need is knowledge and character. Knowledge and character. Our people perish for lack of knowledge. God himself says that. Then secondly, he says you'll never see a diligent person begging for bread. Diligent. You work with discipline. You work hard. You are honest. You are good. That's all you need. Experience, you gain as you do the job. And I'm telling you, even surgeons, there is a first time. Yes, I agree. Do you understand that? There is a first time. Even as lawyers, I remember my first case.
Did you win it?
Professor Gidum. Oh, I went to the Court of
No, that's a good question. Did you win it?
Yes. Okay. I went to the Court of Appeal, Mombasa. You understand that? I was sent by Professor Gidum guy. And I argued. My heart was pounding, but I was intelligent. I had the facts. I had the law. I argued, and I won. So, experience you will acquire. There's always a first time. Arm yourself with knowledge. Arm yourself with character.
So you want us to give,
and then we give you opportunity. None of us agree not. There's always a day one. There's always a first born.
The head of state is not a place where you go for trying. It's not where you go for trials. No, Weda. You need somebody with experience. You know what?
George,
He just told us about a surgeon. He just told us about a surgeon and how they start. He just told us about a surgeon and a lawyer, where they start.
Yeah.
Listen, as a leader of a country called Kenya, not only are you a surgeon, this is somebody who is making choices, George, of how you, your children, your family are going to be governed. It is so serious than that of a surgeon.
Now, George, let me tell you, it is only people like Buhari who are elected on the basis of experience.
Yes.
They were presidents once and they are coming back. Otherwise, people like President Uhuru Kenyatta, Barack Obama, they had their first day as president. And when they have their first, it is not for acting. Yes. It is not for trial. They are real presidents. So I don't know this experience. Where do I get experience as president? How did you become one?
How did you do as a governor? How did you do as a member of parliament? How did you do?
You don't have to do that.
What do you mean?
You don't have to be governor, member of parliament. You don't have to.
Is one gentleman who today launched his presidential bid and manifesto.
Yes.
Machakos Governor, Dr. Alfred Mutu.
Right.
Very briefly, because you are really pressed for time.
Yes.
And I'll begin with you, Muthuma. Is he an option that people can consider? And does he have a point with the 1,500,000 to 500,000 shillings to 1 million loan for the newlyweds to, start life payable in 20 years and, dowry to include planting of trees?
He's the center of a joke. You don't start by saying such things. I mean, George, Kenya is, we are at a crossroads, COVID at hand. You need serious leaders to face serious problems. The only thing that man saw, really, and he's a great guy. He's done Wendell Machakos. The first thing he saw is giving money to the newlyweds. Really, where is that money coming from? He's the center of a joke.
Where?
I live in Machakos County.
Yes.
As a governor, he did very well. Especially the first time, he did very well. He has tried to build on that, but the second term, he put his time a lot in his presidential bid. So he didn't do as much as he did in the first term. He's a good guy. He's a brilliant fellow, young, and he has a good track record. He has made achievements. It is only that he has not captured the Kamba base. He still thinks that you have to put a lot of energy fighting Kalonzo than building yourself. So that work has to be done. Yeah. But with regard to a loan of 1 million, all I can tell him is that the King of Kings, the owner of the universe, says a borrower is a slave to the lender. You cannot start your life, especially with your newly wed wife, charming lady, and you people are slaves for 20 years. That suggestion is demonic, and we rebuke it in Jesus' name. In America, the biggest problem people have in America is debt. Anytime you go to church, you have to preach how to be financially independent. Anytime you are doing motivational talk, it's about money because of debt. Somebody starts, he has a car, he has a seats, he has 10 mobiles, he has clothes, all on debt. I would urge every young professional or non-professional starting life, the first thing you need to avoid is debt. Correct. Already we are dying on the weight of Mswari and Fulisa and Twatas and all these things. You will find your relatives. They keep on changing their numbers. If you ask them, say, "Iyo iko Fulisa, iyo iko nini?" We rebuke the spirit of death in Jesus' name.
So 30 seconds each. What do you think our ODM leader Raila Odinga will be unveiling at the Azimio la Umoja convention on Friday?
Oh, very quickly, I think it will be big. I expect there to be, the pomp and color, but more than that, I really hope a manifesto will be ready. Yeah. Will he be, naming his running mate? I don't think so at this point. So I think this is when he says, I'm going for the big seat.
Okay, Weda?
Personally, I think there is the glamour and the threat of a big rally in Nairobi. The one that they always tell the media to say 1 million, although there are about 50,000 people. 1 million. Now, that is exactly what he wants to do, to tell people, look at all these people supporting my bid. I just hope that he has talked well with the son of Ngina to join him. Because if he doesn't, there will be a lot of question marks. So, Baba handlers, please talk to the son of Ngina very well, cajole him, and make sure, come and greet the people. If he doesn't show up, there will be issues. But I think he wants just to use the crowd to show the whole world, I'm getting this thing.
Indeed.
To bring the background, the base.
And we shall wait to see how.
And I know Muduma will be there with orange.
Where will you be?
Orange. Personally, if my president is going, I will go. If he's not going, I'm not going.
Muduma, will you attend? Will you attend?
No, I don't think I'll attend. I've not attended any. So unless weather pushes me to go.
Now, so you will be analyzing these things from theories. No, in the crowd.
Oh, he knows how we do. He knows how we do it. We go down to the people. We go down to Mashinani.
Brilliant. And that's what a way to wind up Checkpoint tonight. I've been speaking to Ambrose Were and, of course, Gabriel Muthuma, two gentlemen that, of course, you want to catch every Sunday right here on Checkpoint. My name is George Maringa. Thank you so much for your splendid company for the past 2 hours. As always, stay safe and be kind to one another. I'll see you next time.
This is KTN News.
Walikuwa wanatoka kwa skuli zao za kazi, wanarudi nyumbani saa 11. Waligongwa na gari ya magendo na wakakufa wote ya couple.